Okay, so apparently there's been an audio problem earlier in the meeting, but it's been resolved now. So we'll continue. I think we were at the point of just calling a vote on that. No, sorry, Wenda. Councillor Lalande has a comment on the respectful conduct policy.
Just two things. I agree with Krista Lee. I think that's a good idea to have an annual report. Is it because you, oh, okay. I agree with Krista Lee. I think that's a good idea to have an annual report on this. Also, though, I'd like to compliment staff for the way in which this report was written. I love the idea of having those 8 key changes, the summary that you provided for us, because it just reminded us what the original dialogue was regarding this policy, this new policy. And it was nice to see it put down in point form. I think there were 8 key changes, and that was very helpful in reviewing the document and saying, oh yeah, this works. Thank you.
Thank you, Wenda. I agree. This is a big improvement. Not that the previous one was terribly flawed. These are the details, though, that are the devil is in the details, as they say. Yes, something further, Jason?
Just through you, Mayor Wise, just would council be just amiable to regular reporting through our activity report rather than like a dedicated annual report? If we get in the habit of doing an activity report quarterly, we can provide some indication if that policy was used during that period.
Yeah, go ahead, Krista Lee.
I think that makes total sense. Rather than having an additional report task kind of embedded into the date, like the quarterly reporting, I think that makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's more timely. In that case, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 8.3 is a human resources update to the Beaver Lake Swim Program and new positions. Recommendation is a report be received, and further that council authorize staff to proceed with the posting and recruitment process for the recreation and facilities coordinator and public works technician positions as outlined in this report. Can I get a mover and seconder to put that on the floor, please? Councillor Fenwick and Councillor McDonald. And this is yours as well, Jason. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. Mayor Wise. I've been here the shortest amount of time and I haven't figured this out. Yeah, so this is just an all-encompassing human resources update. So the 2 swim instructor positions have been successfully filled, and that is a better result than last year. We did have 1 swim instructor and an assistant, and so we're really happy to have two full-fledged instructors, and the paperwork is all being finalized with those 2 candidates right now, and that's part of the township's ongoing support of that program. And then the 2 positions that have been outlined as part of this report were first proposed. I think the public works technician was first proposed last year during the budget process, but never got to the point where we were ready to propose that as a position for that department. And we're at that point now. And then this year during the budget process, when we were talking about staff allocations, we proposed that we would budget for a recreation position. And so these are both contained within the existing budget, so there's no new ask for these positions. But being new positions to the organization that didn't have job descriptions before, we've used the same person to review the job description and the posting to properly evaluate it against the structure we have within the salary grids for the township. And then further, we're bringing it to council so that council can be aware of what is being proposed, because again, this is something that you haven't seen before, and it's an opportunity to either get a green light or a red light, I guess, from council, and an opportunity to answer any questions about what's being proposed with these 2 positions. So I'd be happy to answer any questions from council.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Milligan.
Just a quick question regarding the public works technician job. I assume this is completely different than the public works supervisor. That's still on the books.
That's
somewhere?
correct.
Okay.
So the public works technicians really precipitated out of more requirements from our asset management responsibilities and reporting and data collection and the ongoing curation of that. So that this role, and if Jeff has anything to add, he can, would be dedicated or primarily supporting a lot of those functions, which are a part of our regulatory and environment when it comes to assets management going forward.
Councillor Lalande.
Yes, thank you. Can you just explain to me quickly, and I guess a reminder, of what the difference is between the recreation and facility coordinator and the position currently held by Mr. Fenwick?
Yeah, so currently we have an arena supervisor and a facility supervisor who really is primarily tasked with the ongoing maintenance and care of that facility, and he has some skills with related to the operation of the refrigeration loop and whatnot, and does some programming support from ice surface rentals, but also has the responsibility of maintaining the properties that we have with parks but what we're seeing is an increased demand for more program support. We do have a recreation, sorry, I don't even know what the right word is, or a rental or an online booking system that needs to be set up and maintained, and then relationships built with associations, whether they be hockey or other sports associations. And that would be more of the administrative support to all the programming versus the physical support of all the facilities and the properties that we have in our inventory. And that's kind of how the two roles will differ and support each other. And one of the ones that I would like to highlight is my hope is through the administrative support of the programs and services that we have, we can also potentially explore increased sponsorship and opportunities at the arena, at baseball fields and stuff like that to generate another source of revenue for the township in supporting the recreation programs and facilities through an alternative stream of funds. And so somebody dedicated to doing that from an administrative point of view would be helpful.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Yes, thank you. This is wonderful. So this person, I think you've pretty much answered what I'm asking. This person will be involved with the volunteer groups and scheduling the ball field, the soccer fields, like right across Enterprise, Yarker, all our small areas, correct?
It's my hope that we would provide more administrative support to any programming. And not necessarily recreation could be expanded to even hall usage. So it's not necessarily outdoor fields, but our halls and providing that, and with the goal of seeing increased utilization across the board, increased access, and showing that the township is supporting some of this programming across the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Deputy Mayor Davison.
Do you believe that we have a full enough workload for this position? Would we consider hiring on contract till we ensure and develop the position?
It's something I could consider through you, Mayor-wise, as we see what the candidate pool has to offer. Anecdotally speaking, in my time here, I don't see the demand for support from recreation going down. We're seeing more and more requests each year, and even just providing a little bit more dedicated attention to the already successful pickleball program. If we can continue to support that, I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of work there that can be generated. But an initial contract may be something we can explore depending on the candidate pool that we have.
Thank you. Councillor Woodcock.
Doug, you read my mind. I was thinking, I'm looking at this. I mean, I think the position is great. And one thing I would say, one change I would suggest, I'm open-minded, is under education, I would include or relevant experience. I think there's a lot of folks that have experience doing this kind of thing without maybe having a post-secondary degree. And I also agree with Doug that maybe this doesn't come out the gate as a full-time, because some of this stuff is building towards the future. I'm just trying to imagine like how many hours that might be. And two, when we've been talking about a lot of our community halls, we talk about like we need to charge more to cover that cost, and that's true. But then there's also the possibility that this is also a big expense that we're then putting on to something that we're saying we're trying to make financially feasible, but both can support one another. I'm not saying they're like mutually exclusive, right? This role could help us make our community halls better used, and increase revenue that way. But I think just to consider, is it a full-time as a starting place? So.
Anyone else? Yes, Councillor Milligan.
It just crossed my mind that this person could also help groups who are planning a special event or things like that and guiding them through that process as well, which then they're not talking to 6 different people and getting 6 different answers.
Anyone else? Councillor Fenwick.
I figured everybody else is. I don't want to be the only one out, and I'm not going to speak actually to those positions. I'm just going to make a simple comment in regards to the swim program, and say thank you to staff and all those involved. I know we have quite a few people that are turning the wrenches on that program. I'm a alumni of the swim program at Beaver Lake, and back when I didn't float on my own, and and I remember it. One of the fond memories of it, and also it was part of me putting down roots here. And I think that these kids, and they're not all kids, that are participating in that are bonding, making friends, and making memories, remembering their summers at Beaver Lake, and becoming long-term Stone Millsians. And I think that's just wonderful. So to those that continue to make this happen, I want to say thank you, because it is very important to the future of Stone Mills.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone else? Okay, I got a mover and seconder. That's on the floor. If no one has any further comments or questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, our next item is Treasurer Raymond's. It's the 2026 budget restatement. Anything to elaborate on or summarize, Anita?
Through you, Mayor Wise. Nothing further to add. Just wanted to say that this is our second or third year applying this new PSAB requirement. It shows the difference between the cash and budget that we pass in order to get our mill rate, opposed to the accrual budget that is required by PSAB to meet our financial reporting. And it's also used through in our financial statements in coordinating with our auditors.
Thank you, Anita. I should have got a motion to put that on the floor. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Milligan and Councillor Lalande. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Anita. Now we have 8.5, which is the Canada Day Committee Special Event Permit Application. We have a motion that the report, that Council receive and approve the report, and approve the issuance of a special event permit, the request for assistance setting up the soapbox derby racing with staff and equipment time funded from the council donation budget, the supply of 2 portable toilets funded from the donation budget, the endorsement of the Canada Day event, Tamworth Canada Day event, and support the inclusion of the event under the township's insurance policy, and approve a noise exemption for the event between 8 and 10 p.m. Furthermore, that council consider the request for a monetary donation to cover the additional cost the Canada Day Committee has incurred for the event. Can I get a mover and seconder to put that on the floor, please? Councillor Fenwick, Deputy Mayor Davison, and Clerk Teeple, this is your report.
Thank you, Mayor Wise. Nothing further to add to the report. I will just note that a request came in at the latter point of writing this report, the committee has expressed that they're short for, I believe, their fireworks show. So they've requested a monetary donation. I haven't included an amount because I was leaving that up to council discretion.
Thank you. Council, discussion, questions? Councillor Lalande.
Did they give you an amount, a ballpark figure of what they were thinking, hoping, I guess?
Through you, Mayor Wise, I'll just pull up the report. I believe they're short approximately $1,000. There's a letter on the end of the report here.
Thank you, I see that now.
Okay, so that's in addition to the 1,000 of miscellaneous expenses that they're short. So we're looking at a couple of $1,000 plus in-kind contributions of, I think it's 700 and something in there somewhere I saw. So we're looking at a bite into the donation account of close to $3,000. Any discussion here? Councillor Fenwick.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this. I have attended this year after year in the Soapbox Derby and all the other events, and it's heavily attended. It's a huge community event. There's many people there from the township, and again, it's an opportunity for us to show our community pride. And I have absolutely no issue with this, and I'd be happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Fenwick. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Lalande, any further discussion? Go ahead, Brandy.
So there's a motion on the floor by Councillor Fenwick and Deputy Mayor Davison, the recommendations from staff, and then if council just wants to provide a monetary value for the latter, then staff can
Like an
follow
upper
that
limit
too.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
So, sorry, Doug, I forgot that you had already seconded that motion. So
So-
are you agreeable to that?
So the way it would work through you, Mayor Wise, is the staff time would be pulled through, it would be accounted for and then pulled through the council donation budget line. And then the monetary donation, the township would be cutting a check to the committee. So if a monetary value can be provided to staff, then we can issue a check to them.
Okay, pick a number, Doug. It's your motion. Was it? It was, no, you were the prime mover.
You said $1,000. I would be happy for up to $1,500. I think that gives us sufficient space. I'm
So
guessing.
it's more than that.
No, I mean, is in for the fireworks.
for the fireworks and miscellaneous.
Yes,
and so on.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, on its out. The rest
Okay.
of it's set in stone. The rest of it's, that little bit is the part that we're not 100% sure about.
Okay.
So up to $1,500 for that portion, and the rest is
Over and
already-
above what's already in the report.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Is that clear? Okay, everyone clear on that? All in favor of that? That's carried, thank you. Yes, Jason, go ahead. Oh, sorry, did you have another comment? Go ahead, Crystal, and then Jason.
Just, so we're saying, so what's the total number of our, I see our remaining donation budget is 7,800. So is that 1,500 on top of the other costs, which is what? Is that almost over 3,000? Because what I'm saying is maybe we should look at, just in terms of being fair to the many villages, and just in terms of like, that's almost 50%. Actually, it's not. You'd know better the math. It's not 50%, but it's getting close to 50% of our entire donation budget. That's all that I want to be mindful of as we approach projects.
So are you looking for a revision to the motion? Because unfortunately, we
No, I
already
mean,
voted on it.
people are in support, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to stand in front of that. I just think it is something that we should consider because we have, it is a fantastic event and a long tradition, and I one day will get in my child in the Derby race because I've never been in one. But I just think it's something that we should be mindful of in terms of the many community events and making sure that we're spreading our donation funds around.
Okay, Jason?
I just wanted to highlight through you, Mayor Wise, that we are putting extra efforts into accounting for things that we haven't traditionally accounted for. So things like staff time that would be budgeted through normal operations that is being taken to support a community event, we're trying to account for that. And so to your point, in future budget years, we can better forecast and account for that and recommend how we handle that. Right now, we're kind of in a transition phase where we're more accurately capturing the amount of resources, both in staff time or in assets and stuff that have been provided to community events. And we're not trying to stop that from happening, but we're trying to really show an accurate reflection of that so that in future years when we are budgeting, we can more accurately recommend what an appropriate level is based on typical asks, and then also allow council to make informed decisions of what should the level of support be from the township going forward for certain types of events, so that we are more transparent about who's getting what and whatnot. And that's we're trying to address that through this process.
Thank you, Jason. There's Brandy, did you have something before I go to someone else?
I was just going to say through you, Mayor Wise, the estimated cost for the services and support from staff and the porta potties was approximately $784. So then on top of that, it would be the upset limit of $1,500 for a monetary donation. I will work with the Canada Day Committee to determine their shortfall and let them know that we have an upset limit of $1,500 and they can let us know how much short they are for the fireworks.
Okay, then I need clarification. I thought there was already a request before we heard about the fireworks shortfall for $1,000 plus that 700 and some, and then the fireworks. No.
So
Okay.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Wise, the estimated cost is $784. I put in under financial implications anywhere between 800 to 1,000 for staff time, just to account for if we were shy of that or if it took additional staff time. But right now it's approximated to be $780 for staff time.
Okay, thank you. And who else was out there debating this motion that's already passed? Councillor Woodcock?
And just follow up to that, no, I think this new model of like accounting for the labor makes so much sense, because often people can ask us to do something, but we have to look at what that actually costs. And that would mean too, when we look at next year's budget, or the future council looks at next year's budget, we might see that we actually need a bigger donation
Yeah.
pool, right? And so this actually will give us better information. And when people ask for favors, we can say, well, that's about this, because sometimes people think, well, can't you just put the picnic table in the truck and deliver it? But it actually all, costs. And I think we'll look at, when we look at the budget next year, we will have a more full picture. So I think with that information, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Fenwick.
Or yeah, I just, because I started the ball rolling with that, I just wanted to clarify my train of thought. Last years, traditionally, we've had a surplus budget left over. This year, we're now putting a monetary value on things that just traditionally happened on their own. So for example, the soapbox derby, tires being set up, time, staff time, the payloader, I'm present for all of it. I've seen it happen. Now we have to put a monetary value on it. So even though we are giving more value to this, we're already sort of doing a lot of it already. So I'm looking at is this isn't a genuinely a new spend. This is from right pocket to left pocket. So that's where, to your point, we're in transition to wanting to be justifiable to the ratepayer when we do these things. What is the monetary value in principle of it? That's why I have no problem with the numbers. The other thing too is, as stated, yes, I can foresee that in the future on this new model, we may have to up this budget. But we were probably already spending this money anyways. It was just subterranean. So with this, and to your point, as much as it sounds like a larger number, and it is potentially, as you've mentioned, 50%, that's of the balance that we have left, not necessarily of the entire budget, which I believe, Brandy, is 12,000, 10,000? 10,000. So this is maybe 25% of that. So to your point, I just wanted to make sure people don't think that I'm just in favor of tossing money left and right for things. There is a process in my poor little mind that adds this all up. And that's where my train of thought is. So I appreciate your support in the matter. It is a new world of thinking, but it's the right way to do it from here going.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone else? Then we will move on. And that actually brings us to the end of items for consideration. And we are into the consent agenda. Anything anyone wishes to pull from the consent agenda? Councillor Lalande.
9.6, which is the Limestone District School Board update. 9.8, which is a Tyendinaga support for Stone Mills FIPA changes. And 9.28, which is the municipality of Pushlinch, the Finley's
say.
Law on Emergency Room Reform, supported by the Western Wardens Caucus.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else? Councillor Woodcock.
9.5 on the land at Beaver Lake. 9.22 on the Ministry Environment letter on the conservation amalgamation. 9.33, the PEC vacant commercial storefront policy change. And 9.37, which is a motion in opposition to the consolidation of conservation areas.
Of Conservation Authorities.
Authorities, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Councillor Milligan.
I was going to pull out 9.33 as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I want to pull 9.3 and 9.4. Okay, just so we can go through them in order. We'll do mine first. Yeah. So 9.3 is the Lear study. I think everyone's probably aware that the draft version is out there. Draft 2 is released, and that landowners who had questions about their properties, whether not wishing it to be designated prime ag or conversely having good farmland that they wish to be designated prime ag, will be contacted by the consultant that the county has hired to do the Lear study, and that is happening this month and probably a bit into next month. I would also like to add that a farm paper that I get called Farmers Forum has actually featured this issue. A local resident who's been active in promoting preserving prime ag land has been interviewed for a story on the issue. Did not paint the township or the county in a very favorable light, as you might not be surprised to hear. And I am considering writing a letter to that farm paper. And at other times I'm thinking, no, I don't want to bother. But just so you know, that's out there. If you want to check out Farmers Forum online, you can find that article. 9 point, a motion then simply to note and receive that, if I can get a seconder. Should I step out of the chair for this? It's all right then. Okay, Doug is seconding. All in favor? Oh, there's comments? Oh, he's moving. Oh, good. Okay, thanks, Doug. And Wenda is seconding?
Yes, but I want to talk to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a quick question, Mayor Wise. Would you be writing this letter as a representative of Stone Mills Township or as a personal farmer?
I would just write it as a private citizen. Yeah. I don't want to get into a slanging match in public, but when clear inaccuracies are presented and our township and county are involved, I do want to comment. I mean, if there's no sort of time limit here, if you want to read that article and at our next meeting say, I think we should comment, then I'm perfectly happy to represent council in a joint creation of a letter. So have a look at it. Farmers Forum. It's published out of Eastern Ontario. It's a monthly. You'll easily find it. The editor is a guy named Patrick Meager. And I won't make a pun on his name. Was there any other comment on that? So we had Doug and Wenda seconded. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So moving on to 9.4. This is the Development Charge Reduction Program. And our planner, Mike Kelly, has a report in here. I just wanted to make sure that that council and the public are aware that this is a huge provincial program providing 90% of eligible capital costs for qualifying projects that requires municipalities to commit to a 30 to 50% reduction of development charges. but it has to specifically be for projects that will enable housing. Have I got that clear, Mike? It has to be a direct correlation. And as a result, since we have no such infrastructure project ready, it, yeah, so it simply wasn't something that we would qualify for. So I just want that clear that we aren't really missing an opportunity here. But there's some good advice from Mike on getting ready for such a similar program in the future that I'm sure he and staff are already thinking about. So can I get someone just to receive that for information? Councillor Milligan, Councillor Fenwick, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the next one that came up in the list was Councillor Woodcock's 9.5. Did you want to address that, Krista Lee?
So, yeah, so 9.5 on our agenda for folks who don't know is that land at Beaver Lake next to the old train station. We don't own it, it's Ministry of Environment. It is going up for sale and the staff have put in a report of interest. And I just want to say great job to staff. It was a really short timeline, 30 days. I'm glad that we're in there. I understand it could be a very lengthy process. I'm just wondering if we should start, if this is something that we, it's something we've talked about for a long time. Do we want to start thinking now and considering what funding a purchase like that might be, whether that's like, grant applications, community fundraising, and that kind of thing, because we don't know, as noted in the report, what that price tag may be. And it's obviously to the benefit of our community, and as we have historical use of that land to try and make sure that we can acquire it. And there's also funding around things, like there's like shoreline restoration kind of things like that. I just wonder if we should start discussions because it could have a price tag that we don't have in the reserves or would not make sense for us. So just wanted to say good job to staff and say that I think we should be moving on planning how to acquire that land.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Jason, did you want to address that?
Yeah. Through you, Mayor Wise, the last time this council or this township kind of navigated this process, and it's the land is with Infrastructure Ontario, was with the school process with Yarker. It was the same kind of, there's an order and there's a pretty predictable disposition process that that the province has. And so we're going to be on high alert, I guess, to because the $1 million question, quite literally, is how much is this waterfront property going to be assessed at? And it's made clear to me that the province has a pretty regimented process for a requirement to dispose of land at quote unquote market rate. And so until we get better clarity on what that ask is, it's we're kind of in a holding pattern to see how many other entities are going to express interest in the process, and if anybody higher than us potentially expresses interest. I'm not sure how likely that is. So when we know more, we will act accordingly and bring it back to council as needed.
Anything else on that item? So I'm sure this will come out as the process unfolds, but the initial consideration is given to public bodies in a certain order. If the province doesn't get an offer from one of those public bodies that meets market value, does it then automatically go to public tender?
Yeah, that's not entirely clear to me at this stage because I've asked questions to try and clarify that. I get the typical kind of canned response of we're required to seek market value, but if nobody's offering market value within that pecking order, is it market value, and is there room for negotiation? I'm not sure at that point, and then it doesn't just go to public auction after that. Is quite likely the process, but again, right now we've just put our finger in as a bookmark to say, let us know when the next step is. And if nobody else has done that, we'll be the only ones kind of talking to them at that stage.
Okay, this will be interesting. So Crystal Lee, did you want to make a motion to note and receive that, or?
Yeah, just to note and receive, yes.
Okay, yeah, a seconder for that? Counselor Fenwick, all in favor? That's carried. So that brings us to 9.6. Wenda, this was your item, community partnership and planning meeting with the Limestone School Board. It's a report that Jason put on the agenda. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Jason for taking this on and giving us a fairly comprehensive update on what has been going on. And I like the format. I think it's speaks well to the various questions that we may have had as a township with regards to the district school board. And just wanted to thank you for that.
So you wanted just to note and receive that as a motion. Is there a seconder? Counselor Milligan, all in favor? That's carried. And you also have 9.8, which is the Township of Tyendinaga Council resolution supporting our resolution regarding Freedom of Information Act changes. Do you wish to speak to that, Wenda?
Yeah, I'll make it brief. I just wanted to thank staff for bringing this forward. It was really interesting to see how many townships wrote in response to our letter, and the support was incredible. So thanks for letting us know that.
There's my mic. Is there a seconder? Counselor Woodcock, and a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say I was happy to see that at least 10 directly in support of that motion. And now I'm sure the province is about to listen to us and reinstate the Freedom of Information laws.
Well, if only.
That's a joke.
Yes, I know. There was sarcasm evident in your tone. All in favor? That's carried. That brings us to, I believe, 9.22. Crystal Lee, that is yours.
Yeah, so this is about the amalgamization of conservation authorities. Just a couple things. So basically, this body is sort of going to be putting a lot of what of our local decision-making powers on hold. The dates are from May 1st, 2026 until February 1st, 2027. And so conservation authorities, which have long been able to operate with autonomy, that know their land, we are no longer allowed to acquire or sell off land. We've lost that local decision-making opportunity, lost a lot of abilities to make staffing changes. So really, we're sort of given over our powers and authority to what will be a political appointee, which is just very unfortunate. Yeah, so just wanted to highlight those changes, and that's about it.
Thank you. So that's a motion to note and receive from Crystal Lee. Is there a seconder? Deputy Mayor Davison, any discussion? I have to comment, having been chair of that body and a member of it for many years previous to Crystal Lee's appointment, the incremental reduction in the function and authority of independent conservation authorities has been ongoing since the current government took office in whenever it was now, 2018, that's right. Some of it's driven by a genuine desire for efficiency, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Much of it, and this is from personal experience dealing with representatives of the government, is driven by resentment and the influence of business supporters of this government based on a few incidents where conservation authorities probably did overstep their authority. And it's been assumed from those incidents that all conservation authorities have been running roughshod over private property rights, misidentifying wetlands, and there's a whole list, and I won't go on and on. It's been a very frustrating and concerning chain of events, and the original vision of local watershed-based environmental decision-making by people who live in the area is disappearing beneath a wave of mostly development pressure from the provincial government. And now this is, I hope, the final chapter before the authorities are basically turned into kind of local lapdogs of a politically appointed overseer in Toronto. Yes, go ahead, Crystalie.
Oh, that just reminded me of another one of the really troubling parts of this change is there's no appeal process. If that political appointee tells you you can't do so, you have to like ask for permission. And if they say no, you can't even appeal that decision. So that's another loss of our ability to have a say. And then just to add on what you're saying, I'm of the opinion that conservation authorities, we can't even do conservation anymore. Can only do flood prevention. And we have swaths of land that were donated, as I've mentioned this before, as people's life legacy, sold to for $1, donated to conservation for conservation purposes. And last spring, when we did that land inventory report, I thought, I've said this before, why does the government want to know all the land that we own? And now that this political appointee will be in charge of all of our assets and be able to dispose of them if they so choose, I think it's very troubling, especially when we know like nature-based solutions when it comes to climate are so important. And they do, the economic wealth that nature provides us is immense. So that's all.
Thank you. Who brought that one forward? It was Councillor Woodcock, so you're noting and receive. Is there a seconder for
To
that?
receive.
Oh, already, okay. I was just speaking to it. So all in favor? That's carried. Moving on, that was 9.22. 9.28, that's back to you, Councillor Lalande.
So this item has to do with a letter that was written to the Ministry of Health and regarding Finley's Law on emergency room reform. It was regarding a young fellow who passed away in the emergency room waiting area. And so it's generated some very strong recommendations by the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus. And I would like to, number one, support their letter. And I would also want to ask if possibly our county or our Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus might consider doing something the same. And basically what they're asking the Ministry of Health to do is to introduce this Finley's Law by setting legal minimum wait times for children under 18, mandatory safe pediatric nurse-patient, physician-patient ratios, mandate public, independent, and timely one-year inquiry by the Chief Coroner of Ontario for every pediatric death, and fund better pediatric emergency readiness, monitor compliance to national standards such as Canadian triage and acuity scale, and establish and ensure compliance with new sepsis care. So I guess I'm asking people, Mayor Wise and Deputy Mayor Davison, what their thoughts would be on bringing this forward to county and ultimately to the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus for support.
So I think the first thing would be for you to make that motion that this particular resolution be sent to the county and ask for the county's support of it and anything in addition you want our county to do in particular. That can be just part of a motion that you make.
All right, thank you. Yes, I would like to make a motion that this letter be forwarded to the county and that with the additional request to see if it could be also brought forward to the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Milligan, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that brings us back to Crystalie 9.33.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to see this here. This is something I've thought of before, but sometimes you're like, I don't know how to even approach this. So from the agenda, it's Prince Edward County has passed a vacant commercial storefront tax. I think this is something that we should look at doing. We have very limited in our hamlets sort of commercial space for economic activity, and we know that developing those is better for us all overall. And I think we do have some commercial properties that are sitting vacant that we are not sure if, are people being sought for them? Is there a mechanism that we can do to kind of encourage people to fill those commercial spaces because they impact the entire rest of the economic development of the region? And I think it's something that I'd be in favor of supporting this, and that I think we should look at ourselves. We have limited, means, but that's one that we could implement.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Milligan? Could I ask, I don't know, Anita or Jason or Brandy, what do we have in terms of our tax situation right now for vacant commercial space? Do we have any additional penalty? Is it a lower rate of tax? Anita, do you know? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Through you, Mayor Wise, there is no, if it's a commercial building and it's taxed at 100% of the commercial rate that is designated by the county of Lennox and Addington on a percentage ratio. The only portion for a vacant is vacant land. So no, we do not have anything. We'd have to research and see what they have actually implemented and find some more information out for the future.
Thank you.
The upper tier just says tax.
Yes, that's right. The upper tier has that penalty. Councillor Milligan?
I was going to pull this out as well because I recall, I guess I've been here about 8 years now, and I know that we've brought this up a couple times. And I just wondered if there's a way for staff to look back and see whatever came of that. Maybe I just don't remember the outcome of the discussions. Yeah.
Jason?
Sorry, just for clarity, there was, your memory is that there was a discussion at the township level about introducing a new tax rate? Because it's my understanding, just for clarity, that the upper tier sets the tax rate and that we wouldn't be able to unilaterally have our own tax rate. So that would be a county question.
I remember talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know that we may have come to that conclusion, and that might have been the end of it. But I know we've talked about it a couple times while I was sitting here. So that's all I know.
Okay, so can we frame a motion to, receive this item and add that staff prepare a report on the possibilities of having a similar tax or penalty? Is that
Yeah, I'm in
agreeable?
agreement with that, to look at the feasibility of it, or whether it is something we have to take to the county
Yeah.
level, and then finding, like, maybe is the step we take.
Okay, is that fine with you, Sherry? So we've got a mover and seconder. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the last one is again for you, Councillor Woodcock, 3.7, which is a resolution regarding the consolidation of conservation authorities. Again, is this simply?
I was just going to say receive and support,
Okay.
which we have done this
Yeah, we've already
similar
done
before.
it. Okay. Councillor Milligan seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Well done. We got to the end of a very lengthy list of resolutions. We did not. Can I get a motion to adopt the balance of the consent agenda? Councillor Woodcock, Councillor Lalande, all in favor? That's carried. Which brings us to notice of motion or direct motion. Does anyone have a notice of motion for an upcoming meeting? Does anyone have a direct motion on an urgent matter that simply cannot wait? None. Announcements, we have a list of upcoming meetings there. 24th, County of Lennox and Addington, Committee of Adjustment is on July 8th, and the regular council meeting in July is July 13th. Do we just have one meeting in July? I can't remember. Yes, that would be the only township council meeting in July. Anyone else have any announcements they wish to bring to anyone's attention? Yes, Jason.
I just want to direct the public to some notices that are on our website regarding their tax bills. They've been printed and delivered or in the mail, but there was a small wording error on them, and our website further explains what that wording is. So it just, if anybody happens to be watching, just take the time and take a look at our website and see how that affects you.
Thank you, Jason. If there's nothing else under announcements, we do have a closed session meeting tonight pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act. The reason for the closed meeting is that council will proceed into closed session to consider a matter relating to litigation or potential litigation. So we'll take a short break, and anyone who's not authorized to be here for the closed meeting has to leave. Can we get a motion to go into closed session, please? Councillor Woodcock, Councillor McDonald, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, council has been in closed session to discuss a matter that has legal implications. And Clerk Teeple, which sort of motion do you need to, from the Rising Report? Just reported that no further direction was provided. Can someone make that motion? No further direction was provided. Councillor Milligan, Councillor McDonald, all in favor? That's carried. Can I get a mover for our confirmation bylaw? Councillor Fenwick, Councillor Woodcock, all in favor? It's carried. And a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor McDonald, who should, Councillor Milligan, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks, everybody.